All right, YouTube, what is going on? It is another Friday, and we are live. This is the Comic Book Canon pre-show live. We will be going live on the Comic Book Canon YouTube at 6 p.m. Pacific time this evening. So I'm going to post the link actually right now to allow you guys to head over to the Comic Book Canon channel. Give us a subscribe over there and be ready for an awesome show tonight. I'll let some viewers get in here real quick. And then we'll go over some awesome things that we're going to be going over. What is going on, Isaac? James, Brick Gaming. All right, guys, we got the link posted to the Comic Book Canon show tonight. Go click that link. Give us a subscribe over there, and you're in for an awesome show tonight. So many things circulating the news this week in comic book and pop culture world. Yeah, so I'm super excited to meet up with my co-host Jeff at the Comic Book Canon channel this evening, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Check us out. Click that link. Give us a sub over there. That's where the real show is going to be. So now, one thing I want to bring up quickly about tonight's show is, and let me get, actually, let me pull it up here on my phone. So everyone watching here, you guys still have an opportunity to be a part of the live show tonight on the Comic Book Canon channel by posting a picture on social media, Twitter, Instagram. Instagram's probably your best option. And posting a picture of your favorite grail that you have in your collection, or that one grail that you are still seeking out that you don't have yet, but is that one book that is your holy grail. Post a picture of that book. And then you can include the hashtag. I'm going to put the hashtag down here in the comments. Let me make sure I am where I need to be. My Comic Grail CBC. So let's drop that in the comments for you guys. My Comic Grail CBC. We're not talking about CGC today. That was yesterday's show. My Comic Grail CBC. And there it is. Smack by the Mac. One of my favorite handles. How's it going today, man? All right, so as I was saying, guys, My Comic Grail CBC. If you have your holy grail in your collection, or you just have an image of the book that you want more than anything to be in your collection, post it on Instagram. Hashtag My Comic Grail CBC. We'll try to feature you on the show tonight for sure. Again, the link to the show on the Comic Book Canon channel is right above here in the comments. So go check that out, guys. Hope everyone has had an awesome week. I appreciate everyone that stopped by my channel yesterday for my CGC What Books to Send Off show. I got a stack up here of the books that I picked out that are ready to go. I'm going to be doing some pressing. I actually got a book in the press right now. I pressed up my what book did I press up this morning? My ASM 299. I got another one in there right now, and hopefully I'll be shipping all my books out to CGC by the end of next week, because I got to get through all the pressing. It usually takes one full day for me to press up a book. So like, I just put a book in the press right now. It's, afternoon, evening. That'll sit in there until the morning, and then so about probably a little more than 12 hours, and then I'll flip it, give a press to the back side, let that sit in there for about 12 hours, and then I will put the next book in. So I got about 9 books to send out. I'm on my second one. So we're looking at, hopefully by next week, I'll have my I'll have them all packaged up, ready to be shipped out to CGC. And their turnaround time right now for the modern tier is like 20 business days. So if I send them out, that'll be like the end of the month next week. Hopefully by the beginning of July, we'll have the books back and I'll be able to come here and share that with you guys. So Christopher, what's going on? Appreciate you guys showing up again and again. This is a Comic Book Canon pre-show live. I'm just here to inform everyone about the awesome show that we got going on the Comic Book Canon YouTube. Once again, the link is above here in the comments. There it is. Go click that link. Subscribe to us at Comic Book Canon and check out our show tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So some things going on today, guys. On the show, man, what a week. So I don't like to give out too much details, but I do like to let everyone know what it is that we're going to be going over. And the big thing is the Snyder Cut Justice League. I'm sure a lot of you have been talking about it. This has been something that it's been almost 3 years now that people have been talking about this. I have my opinions on it. We'll talk about it in the show tonight. Like I said, it's probably been on almost everyone's mind, whether in a good way or a bad way. So that's going to be a big key talking point tonight. I'm excited to dive into that for sure. We have some pretty big Sony Marvel news. A few things in that category that are piquing my interest for sure. Obviously, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. We know that the Sony Marvel relationship has to do with Spider-Man and his supporting cast of characters. So lots of stuff to talk about there as well. Obviously, MCU news. There's probably, what week goes by to where we don't have some awesome MCU news to share. This week's MCU news is really interesting because it's kind of personal to me. And I'm excited to talk about that as well. Man, what else we got? We got some CW news, some Arrowverse news. And of course, we got our spec book news. We got books that have been flying off the shelves, and some of them I'm questioning why. But some of the others for obvious good reasons. So we'll be talking about some spec books as well. Let's see what people are buying right now for sure. So with that being said, guys, we got another week coming up here to where I got some awesome stuff for my channel. What did I do? So this week we took care of my, finally got around to my room tour video. So go check that out. If you have not watched my room tour video yet, I highly suggest it. Leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think. I worked long and hard to get my room up and running for you all to show off. I had a fun time filming it. It is 30 minutes long, but guys, it is worth it. In my opinion, anyway. This is my humble opinion. We had the live stream yesterday about what books I'm sending off to CGC. I actually did a video showing off more books. I had some Silver Age books and some modern books, which are 1975 and older in terms of the tiers for CGC. I got some feedback on that. I decided to go with the modern tier, so that's 1975 and up. But we got a really nice selection of books. We still have some Bronze Age keys, some 80s keys, and then one. I'm sending out my Spawn 300, Todd McFarlane ASM 300 cover swipe variant. So that's like the only modern new key book, or I don't know if you want to call that a key yet. I'll call it a key. I think it's a book that's going to be iconic, and it's an iconic cover swipe. So that's what this week was filled with. Next week, I think one of my biggest videos that I'll be doing next week that I've been talking about is my how-to video on my unit right here that I built. So I've had some questions about, hey, did you buy that? Did you build it? So I'm going to be doing a video going in detail on some of the things that I did in making this unit. It's got the long box cubbies. So I'm going to go into a couple of key things that really helped me build this unit in a positive way. I did not use nails, and I think that's key. So if you guys are do-it-yourself individuals and you're looking to have something for your comic books or hey, something for anything really, if you want to build some type of shelving unit, there is a way to do it without nails that I think is going to make the unit last a very long time. Now, of course, I've said before too, there's some things that I wish I did differently. I will be talking about those as well, because everything's a learning experience, and if I can let you all know, what not to do, or what I should have did differently moving forward, then hopefully you guys going into your projects can come out with something even better than what I made. So for sure. All right, Christopher Barker, he is rooting for the Snyder's Cut. We got rumors of Justice Society movie spinoff of Black Adam. Hey, man, I mean, that's the rumors are rumors, right? I mean, they're endless. Rumors are constantly popping up. It's hard to, siphon out what to really kind of believe and what is just kind of hot air. The Boy Who Had 7. What's going on, Matt? Hey, guys, check me out. Check me out. If you're not subbed to The Boy Who Had 7 yet, go sub everyone up in the chat, obviously, but go check out The Boy Who Had 7. Awesome dude, awesome channel. I'll be doing a live stream with him next week. I think we said Tuesday, and he'll be doing a live unboxing with me there on his channel. I did a commission piece for him, so I'm definitely excited to see his reaction. That's going to be awesome. Isaac, your Detective Comic 38 came. Nice. I hope you're satisfied. For sure. So yeah, rumors, guys. I mean, one thing with rumors, it's like it's fun to speculate on rumors, but also it gets kind of tiring. And for myself, I've had to like really kind of step back away from listening to too much, because it gets overwhelming, and then a lot of it is just it's hot air, so I would just advise personally to try to like siphon through it all and spend more energy on stuff that seems more feasible. But it's hard, especially in this industry, but with the Justice Society, I mean, hey, right now DC, I will say DCEU, it's almost obviously a mess. Whether if you're a fan of some of the movies or not, the direction that they're going, it's kind of a mess. I'll talk about that more tonight. I don't want to get too much into that right now, because that's going to be a big key talking point of tonight's show. So for sure. So again, guys, just to reiterate, tonight's show, Comic Book Canon, go give us a sub over there. I'm going to drop the link once again directly to tonight's show in the comments. Click that link, give us a sub over there. Again, this is only our second show, and we hope to keep doing some awesome things. We want to have some awesome guest features in the near future. We might have some guests next week, yeah, so go check us out, keep supporting, and it's going to be a great show. I promise you guys that. Click that link. And also, if you guys want to be featured on tonight's show, again, head over to Instagram or Twitter. Drop a picture of your Holy Grail that you have in your collection, or the Holy Grail that you are seeking that you still have not gotten your hands on. That is that one book that you want in your collection, and leave the hashtag My Comic Grail CBC. I'm going to leave that hashtag in the comments again here. My Comic Grail CBC. Boom. I'm excited to show off what mine is. I will say it's a book that I do not have. That's all I'm saying. Christopher Barker says that supposedly Justice Society is going to appear in Black Adam. I'm extremely excited for Black Adam, that's for sure. I wasn't too big on Shazam. I mean, I thought it was decently entertaining, but it wasn't like a bomb. I didn't think it was a bomb, but it didn't impress me. Scott, how's it going, man? Scott did a 2020 want list. Awesome. A 9.2 ASM 300. That's beautiful to hear, man. I'm excited for you. Absolutely. I wish mine was a 9.2. Mine's an 8.5. It's still decent. I still love it. Still got it at a good deal too when I got mine. So wasn't wasn't too impressed with Joker. Yeah, Joker, I was impressed with certain elements, but then like so for me, like Joaquin Phoenix's performance was awesome. It was a great performance. I think it was a decent standalone movie, but and I like how they did the Easter eggs at the end there, setting it up to say, oh, look, he's in a universe with Batman. But ultimately, my take from it was that this character, this Joker, could not be could not exist in a universe in a live action format with Batman or any superheroes. I just don't see it happen. He doesn't have that broad depth to him that could command the what the Joker was in terms of being a adversary of Batman. I don't see it. You had Jack Nicholson, who was amazing in his role, but obviously took on more of, he was more of a mob boss. Where you have Heath Ledger that, was more maniacal and psychotic, yet he still was able to command the underworld and get into that mob, the business of, the illegal business and mob mentality of things, where, it worked. And that's why I think, to me, Heath Ledger will always be the GOAT, at least so far, of all the performances we've seen of the Joker character, because he really embodied a very diverse and complex idea of this one person, of who Joker is. And I love Joaquin as an actor. Yeah, I think he did a decent job. I think maybe the whole Oscar hype was overhyped. It's like, I mean, I don't know, man. And I've over the last probably 10 plus years, 10, 15 years, the Oscars, I'm not impressed. It reminds me of a popularity contest like in high school, who wins prom king and queen. And I'm not big on it. It doesn't really validate the best for me. That's kind of my take in a nutshell, for sure. Birds of Prey. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed Birds of Prey, thoroughly, and I like what's her name's Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie. Excuse me, brain fart. I love Margot Robbie's Harley. I hated Suicide Squad. I think to this day Suicide Squad is the worst DCE movie made. Absolutely. And I thought the bright light in that was Harley. I think obviously Will Smith did a decent job. I think anything Will Smith is in, he's going to do a decent job. But the movie itself to me was just trash. I've watched it 3, maybe 4 times now, and every time I watched it thinking it might get better, I just hated it even more. But Birds of Prey, I was extremely entertained. And again, I wasn't like blown away, but it had elements of what I thought Suicide Squad could have had and should have had. And that's just my take on that. So, yeah. Panda Menacers, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why people were hating on Birds of Prey so much. I didn't see any problem with it at all. It was, like I said, it was entertaining. It didn't have any extreme depth to it, or like something that, or it was a film that you could pick apart and like show its brilliance. But it was a very thorough film that was entertaining from start to end, and that's my take on it. Scott says, I agree 100%. Ledger's Joker could attack Batman's sense of self, which I loved. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing with Joaquin's Joker. It's like Joaquin's Joker, I don't think could get past his own mental wall, his own lack of emotional capability. He was too much of a nut job, fixated on his own, basically what's the word I'm trying to, his own fixation of of self, of like who he was. It wasn't really, I don't see him coming out of that and adding depth to that to be able to have some kind of relationship with anybody in a protagonist role whatsoever. The chaos of his own mental state was too extreme. Our award shows are a joke. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like the Grammys. I'm done with the Grammys. I'm done with the Grammys for sure. I haven't watched. I mean, the fact that, like, I mean, I don't know, I forget off the top of my head, but I made an argument for Tupac. Obviously, the fact that Tupac never won a Grammy is ridiculous. When he was like the first modern artist, I believe, to like surpass, or I know the first rap artist or hip hop artist to surpass Elvis in record sales. And then Eminem did, but again, Tupac died at age 25. So imagine what he would have accomplished, if he would have just had 10 years and still died at 35. I don't think anybody would have been able to surpass him. But obviously, it's not just about record sales and whatnot. Just like with movies, it's not just about dollar amount. Obviously, it means something. But yeah, awards. I mean, like, I would say maybe like the ones that I think still hold maybe the most value off the top of my head are sports awards. I do feel like a lot of the sports awards are still gauged because, like, like winning a batting title, you have to have the highest batting average. Cy Youngs are, it's subjective, but still you have to have a pretty strict, but then, like, even MVPs, like in the NBA, that's kind of too subjective, because the fact that Kobe Bryant only won one league MVP, and Michael Jordan should have more than 5. Michael Jordan should have at least 7, maybe even 9 MVPs. But it's like, oh, do we give it to the same guy every year? So I hear you. Yeah, award shows, man. Joseph, what does Joseph say? He says, I think Joker's Phoenix is more of the birth of Gotham City. And that's a good point too. But I don't know. Honestly, to be honest, it was almost unbelievable to me how much that Joker's impact had just from doing what he did, like on the one television show. I don't know, and I know they were building up to that, but another thing was, like, was it all in his head? Like, what actually happened? Was him dancing on the car and doing all those things actually in his head? Because we know that a lot of the relationships and a lot of the self-fulfilling prophecies that he had were not real. It was in his head, like the neighbor and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's an interesting point, though. Mike, what is going on? The Joker, the greatest villain. Hey, the Joker is my favorite DC villain. And I think it's arguably that overall the superhero genre and comic books, he can arguably be the greatest. For a multitude of reasons, for sure. JJ says, not all award shows are a joke. It depends who the comedian is. It looks like you're the comedian. That was a good one. That is a good one. I like it. I like it. I love it, man. That's brilliant. Did you make that one up? Batman, the greatest comic superhero. That's arguable too. He's not my favorite. He's not my favorite, but just because he's not my favorite doesn't mean that there's no truth to that. Because favoritism is subjective, right? With any form of art. So my favorite is Spider-Man. And I really like Wonder Woman in DC, but side by side with Wonder Woman, I'd say Batman. But I think that's an argument that he's the greatest just because of who the character is and how he's built himself. And so many characters have been kind of mimicked off of Batman. Even Iron Man, Moon Knight, there's been a lot of characters that have those similarities of what Batman embodied. And, this is like the first real superhero that wasn't a superhero. He just has fancy toys, right? Where does he get those toys? Right? So it's Batman is extremely iconic, you know, and it's hard to put anything past Superman because without Superman, we wouldn't have superheroes. But Batman is in a league of his own. To me, Joker wasn't a comic book movie. It was Joker in name only. Absolutely. I've said this about Michael Bay's Transformer movies as well. You know, with the exception to the first one, because I always give praise to the first one, and I thought he did a decent. Him and his team did a decent job bringing it over to live action. But ultimately, he got more and more away of the Transformers, and they just became these like robotic aliens. So it's like, why call it Transformers in the first place? Oh, I know why. Because you're riding on a multi-million-dollar franchise, right? So ultimately, it's like just call the movies like Alien Robot Wars or something. You know, like yeah, actually, you could have named the Transformers movies more GI Joe movies battling alien robots because there was more about the military and human beings than it was about the robots, anyway. So it's a very, very good point. Why call it a Joker movie? Just call it like Clown, Joaquin Phoenix, Clown, or Tears of a Clown, or something. You know, why even make it? But you know, obviously, it's a movie studio saying how do we maximize off of a franchise, off of a brand, but yet still make a good movie. And I think it's brilliant for them to be able to do that because basically they took a movie that had nothing to do with comic books, but just added the clown element and put the Joker name on it and the DC label on it, and boom, you know, you have $1 billion movie. Joker was more of a study of mental disorder than anything, and I agree. Mastodon, what's going on, guys? Good talk, guys. Good talk. I hope to pick up Dawn of X to be part of the MCU. So much to work with, especially with the X-Men coming over. So much. What's the one Batman villain you want to see on the big screen? Oh, wow. Wow. I think for story-wise, Hush would be a good one. I think it'd make for a good 2.5 hour movie. But just in terms of iconic villains, man, I honestly, I really want to see the Joker manifest how the Joker should. And ultimately, you know, Heath Ledger could have been that. I don't know what Christopher Nolan's plans were with Heath Ledger, but I don't know what Christopher Nolan's plans were outside of a trilogy. So when you're talking about building a universe, why not want to build it on Joker? The dynamic between Batman and Joker runs so deep, and the storylines with that involve the Joker with so many other characters and players, just it means so much, you know. And I would really like to see that. I don't know. I like Riddler as a kid, but I wouldn't say I'm too fond of seeing like Riddler in a live action. I don't know, you know. But I want to see the Joker done well in the DCEU, and I don't want it to be Jared Leto's Joker, the wannabe coked out pimp, you know. And I'm not mad at Jared Leto. I think Jared Leto could play a great Joker. You saw hints of it, I think, in Justice League. Suicide Squad. I think you saw hints of what he could have did. I just think the character was written completely wrong. And I understand modernizing things and all this stuff, but I just think it was extremely overboard. Extremely overboard, and it killed it for me. So my daughter would agree with you, Mike, about Joker. Spider-Man's the Batman of Marvel. I mean, you can argue that Spider-Man's even the Superman of Marvel because really it was Superman that, you know, started DC. And even though, you know, you had the First Family and Hulk and whatnot introduced in the Silver Age before Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man solidified it. But I think in terms of that longevity and iconic status, I think you're right, you know, because Batman does really hold that over Superman, and I think the film genre has helped because I think the 1989 Tim Burton film really just, I mean, that solidified it, and that was a movement in itself. And you could say the same thing for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. You know, as much as there's flaws in those things, I mean, at that time, what that trilogy did was huge. And actually, that trilogy was a part of the reason why I got back into comics, that and Civil War. So, yep, there's definitely some parallels there. All right, guys, I got a few more minutes before I head off to my to prepare for my show. Comic Book Canon tonight, guys, at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Here's the link again below, guys. So go click the link. Give the channel a sub. Catch us there in about an hour and 19 minutes. Me and my co-host Jeff. We're going to have an awesome show for you guys. Let's go through a few more of these comments. Superman and Wonder Woman made a good couple in the comics. I liked it more than Superman Lois. Can't argue that. Mastodon says Clayface. That's a good one. This is a great one. I hope we see Wolverine's comic accurate costume in the film in the near future. Boy, do I hope so. I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be like exact. You know, I'm obviously not one at saying it needs to be exactly like the comics, guys. No, nothing needs to be exactly like the comics, because really then it wouldn't work. I mean, think about it. Can we imagine if Infinity War movie and Endgame movies were exactly like Infinity Gauntlet? I mean, as much as you read those books and you love the stories that progresses through the books, that would have been a boring movie. You know, especially Infinity War. The Infinity War series was just ultimately, you know, the antagonist procrastinist relationship was dope, and it worked out in the end. It was just so much went and like the fighting back and forth with like unneeded banter. You know, it's like, come on, guys, that just wouldn't work in a movie. So even costumes, I mean, we could change it. We could make it more realistic. You know, I like how they made Cap's suit in the original Cap suit, you know, during World War II, and made it more like a military getup. I love what they did with the Winter Soldier suit, more like a tactical. You know, I can't stand the pajama Captain America suit from Avengers 1, first Avengers movie. It looks like pajamas. So, you know, there's a right and wrong way to bring these costumes to live action cinema. But yeah, so with that being said, they can make some small altercations to make it look good on live screen action. But yeah, we have to see Wolverine in that suit. We have to, man. Oh, Jeff got his ASM 252 bag and a 9.0. That's awesome news. Mike says the Joker movie was the best comic book movie ever made. You might be in the minority there, Mike. All right, guys, I got 2 more minutes before I'm heading off here. Let me just read through the comments. I think the constant bashing on Batman by fandom ministers was part of Ruby Rose leaving. There's more of it. Are you talking about Batwoman? Kite Man on the big screen. Perry Comics, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Who do you think the most valuable? That word, just like sports, that word valuable, what does that mean? Valuable, right? Valuable in what way? Valuable in being so iconic that it's allowed a company like Marvel or DC to be the iconic publishers that they are. Ones that have held longevity. Ones that have kept the bills paid and the lights on, or ones that have been fan favorites. You know, you got to take in all these variables. So, you know, the most valuable superhero, I mean, I ultimately will still say that I think Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man has been a savior to Marvel in different eras. Absolutely. And you can argue Batman for DC. You know, I think Batman really rejuvenated DC when they were facing, you know, Marvel was about to buy DC. you know, and then in the 80s, they really kind of darkened the character up. And then, you know, you bring Frank Miller on, or Millar, however you want to say his name, and the rest is history. And then you get 1989's movie, and boom, you know, Batman literally saved DC, in my opinion, in more than one way. And then, you know, you look at what the Dark Knight franchise did after such an amazing Tim Burton franchise was ran into the ground by Joel Schumacher. You know, and not to like just point fingers at him. You know, it's I don't think it was all his fault, but you know, then you have Christopher Nolan come in with arguably, still to this day, the best trilogy, not just in superhero genre, but in movie history of all time. You know, it's arguable. You got a Godfather. You know, I'm gonna say Godfather. You know, that's my family history. Godfather, Sicilian tree there, family tree. But yeah, so that's a good question, good argument to ask. Do you collect trades for comics? I do have trades. I will dive into trades just as a cheaper option if I'm reading a run, but I'm obviously more into comics. I mean, I have probably maybe over 100 trades, maybe about 100 trades, and that's it. On top of that, 16,200 comic books. All right, guys, I really got, man, I could stay here and talk for days with you guys. I appreciate all the comments, the questions. It's just such amazing things to talk about. Double S, what's going on? Couch Cosmic for Captain America First Avenger to Endgame was an evolution. Absolutely. Although I still believe that the First Avenger one was better than the that's such the first, not the first Avengers movie, Captain America First Avenger, that suit, I like that more than Avengers 2012 suit. But everything else after that, absolutely. I love the evolution for sure. All right, guys, I'm going to leave this link one more time below. This is the link to the Comic Book Canon YouTube page. Click that link. Give us a sub over there. Meet us over there in about an hour and 12 minutes, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have a show tonight. We'll be talking Snyder Cut in depth. We'll be talking MCU and maybe seeing some darker sides of the MCU here. We'll be talking CW, Arrowverse. We'll be specking on some books and seeing what's flying off shelves right now. So click that link, guys. Catch us over there in a little bit. I'm going to hop on out of here. And I'll see you guys over on the Comic Book Canon channel. I thank you all for joining me. If you're not subbed to myself yet, please subscribe here as well. See you over at Comic Book Canon in a little over an hour. Until then, be well, guys. I appreciate you all.